Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition. Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod. And what is this, our third episode of Journeying Through Time, exploring Star Wars from the fan eye perspective. And in this third episode, we are looking at all of the original teaser trailers for a lot of the Star Wars live action shows. And we're rewinding the clock just a little bit because in the last part to this series, we went all the way through Clone Wars and skipped a very important canceled Star Wars show that George Lucas himself had approved. So, joining us today is your co-host, Blake. Let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
All right, welcome back to the Escape Pod, Mr. Blake.
Hey, chut chut, Josh, chut chut.
Chut chut. I see you're playing the HoloNet radio. Got the classic Cantina band on, dude.
Do you want me to turn it up? Do you like that? I think it's a good song. I like this one. It's a classic. Yeah. Man, that'll get your head grooving.
Oh yeah,
Stomping.
that's a head smasher.
I'm playing Lego Star Wars. I just feel like that song just comes up all the time.
every time. Yeah, it's a classic. Well, let's kick things off here because where we left off was the finale of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and that was fairly recently, not a crazy amount of time ago, but we skipped a very important show in the order of going through things, and which happens to be
just too excited to get to Clone Wars.
Definitely was, yeah. Star Wars Detours, which is an unaired American CGI animated comedy series, and it differentiated with other Star Wars animated shows because it's like a parody show, right? So kind of like the Star Wars Robot Chickens or the Star Wars Family Guy or whatever.
Family Guy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's the same guy who did all three of them.
So
Seth Green,
yeah. So it offers. Oh no, you know what? No, Family Guy. I think you're thinking of Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, Seth MacFarlane.
But they're both Seths.
Sorry, but Seth Green. It plays. It's been so long since I've seen. He plays the son, the voice of the son. So he's actually involved in all three of them.
So So there, there's something about
which
Seth's.
is Luke. He did the voice of the Peter's kid who plays. I think it's Chris.
Oh,
And
Chris.
Chris is Luke.
Oh, he voices Chris. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. Now, there's something about Seth's and this kind of humor, like even Seth Rogen's in the mix.
Yeah.
They're like the troublemakers of Hollywood.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So this show offered a comedic take on what happened between the prequels and the original trilogy. It was completely not canon. It was like you look at the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars special or something like that. It was along those lines, just a mashup and something to kind of, fit in the Star Wars label, but not necessarily tell any new stories. It was more just kind of like for the laughs, right?
Yeah, it was poking fun at like situations from a third perspective, right?
Right, exactly, yeah. Lucasfilm Animation was collaborating with the Robot Chicken studio, and 39 episodes of the show have been produced. And the release has been on hold since 2013. That's almost 10 years ago. Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's crazy. Just Disney keeping it in the vault. Do you ever think Disney will open the vault? The Disney vault?
The Disney vault, I think, is shut to that one. I think when they open the vault to Disney Plus, they let out 99% of the things. The holiday special and Detours didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
But
I think there's a few Disney movies in there too that haven't been out for a while.
Yeah.
Probably for the best.
So, interestingly enough, footage of the series debuted as Star Wars Celebration 6 in mid-2012, kind of around the time that this show was sort of announced and planned and, kind of ready to go. But it was planned for the release I think later the next year, so sometime in 2013. But Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm put that on hold. And in March 2013, Lucasfilm postponed that release, reconsidering a comedy series would be whether or not it would be a sensible way to introduce the franchise to new fans, because this is Disney. They're stepping into this company which has been criticized for a while by certain fans about its direction with the prequels and then the Clone Wars, and believe it or not, there's people out there that don't like either of those things. And so they were like, well, I don't think us buying this company and authorizing the release of a comedy series that pretty much makes fun of everything in Star Wars is a good way to do our business, right? So they decided to put that on hold. They went forward with the sequel trilogy, and things have just been rolling ever since. But there have been 62 scripts that have been finished for the show, 32 episodes that have been fully animated and completed, or 39 or whatever it was. So there is a trailer for this, and we're going to take a quick look at what this trailer is all about. So, Star Wars Detours.
Punch it.
Punch it.
Detours! You ready? Punch it!
Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
No, I left a message with your roommate, but your machine was full, so your landlord hung up on me when I was walking your dog because my homework ate it.
I got dressed for this.
Half dressed.
Put some pants on, man.
Hey, so, how's my nose look? Oh! Detours!
Are you ready for the ribbon-cutting ceremony?
Man, will I be happy when we can stop pretending this thing's a mall.
This is no space mall. This is more like some kind of a Death Star.
Death Star. I like the sound of that.
Aha! This is a ploy. No. It's a ruse. No. It's an ambush. No. A subterfuge. No. A confining device. A snare. A box popped up with a stick. It's a trap. It's a wrap. Where's my hat? It's a trap. Sorry. Just finally figured it out. On my way back to the office. Couldn't get it out of my head. Gotta go. I'm double parked.
Hey! Oh!
For luck. Oh, it's a matte painting. They haven't finished this chasm yet.
I guess they went over budget.
Don't make me take your arm off, Sonny. Old Ben needs grocery money.
Can you just order me a hot dog?
Shouldn't you be haunting Darth Maul or Yoda? Go haunt Yoda!
Taxi. Why everybody hate me, son? Well, how honest do we want to get?
Hey, Sid. A commercial audition, really?
Wow, Leia, you look really...
Amazing. Yeah, I know. Why are you staring at me? Yeah, I'm famous and hot. Deal with it. I don't feel like the center of attention anymore. Fix that.
Vader! Nothing says vacation over quite like seeing you again, you big breathy bummer.
Welcome back, my master. How was the singles cruise?
Well, let's just say there wasn't a cloud in the sky, which was confusing since it was raining chicks.
Who's that? She's pretty.
Well, Leia, that is Queen Amidala. Great politician, terrible taste in fashion and makeup and hair and men, and bad judgment in just about every area of her life except for politics. She's dead.
North R2! Nobody's talking to you, trash can. Do you not get it, people? His name was Windu and he went out a window, huh? That joke was hilarious, and you all liked it.
Hello, I'm a fool for dancing, and you're a dancing fool. Hit it!
The service here is slow.
We haven't even ordered.
I know, that's what I mean. It would be good to order already.
I know, that's what I was saying.
Oh, I thought you were disagreeing. Yeah, it would be good to order already.
Detours!
All right, so that was kind of funny. It's hard to describe what's all going on there. It's pretty much a mashup of a few different little teasers that are all stitched together. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Oh man, I haven't watched something like this in so long.
Did you remember when this came out? This trailer?
Oh my gosh, because like
this is before the Disney.
I can see the date now. I just graduated high school.
Yeah,
It's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like I really liked Robot Chicken, Star Wars, and stuff. So this would have been right up my alley then. Now I don't know if it's too cringy or not. If I'm honest with you,
I recognize a lot of the same voice actors for
Yeah.
Robot Chicken, like the voice of
Palpatine for sure.
Palpatine for sure, Dengar, same guy. For Leia, I noticed they brought back the voice actor who did Padme for the Clone Wars, Catherine Cat Tabor. So yeah, it's same with Boba Fett. Boba Fett was played by the same guy who did Robot Chicken voice, and yeah, definitely you can clearly tell it's done by the Robot Chicken studio, but for a younger audience. And I feel like at some point they should just release it. It's like just sneak it onto Disney Plus. Nobody's gonna care. It's like only the people
bonus
that
material, right?
Yeah. Like what could possibly go wrong? I mean, like
A lot of things these days.
yeah, true enough. But for all of you guys listening at home, links for all of this stuff is in the description of this podcast episode, like all the rest of them that we've done before, so you can follow along at home.
Yeah, there was some good bits though. I really liked the matte painting joke. I thought that one was pretty good.
That one is pretty good. Yeah.
The two stormtroopers swing across the chasm.
What about Windu going out a window?
Oh my gosh. That's a dad joke I gotta write down for the kids.
Yeah. Man, I think the monkey is probably the monkey is probably the best. Jabba's monkey lizard. He's like
Salacious Crumb.
And then he answers his phone. He's like, "Oh, hello."
Yeah. It's just a gig.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Well, there we have it. There's Detours. Sadly, kind of the last thing that I guess. It was included in our canceled Star Wars episodes back when we did those, but I think it's definitely it had George's stamp of approval on it, so
I want to see George like watch this or get the pitch.
Yeah.
I want to see his reaction. I really do.
Seth Green, I think made George laugh, I think, with his Robot Chickens.
I think so.
Yeah, I think they had a good relationship, obviously. I mean, for them to allow them to do 3 Star Wars Robot Chicken volumes, and then in addition to that, Lucasfilm Animation collaborating with them over this show. Like, I feel like it was just a good working relationship.
Okay, so you think it was George throwing him a bone because he liked his work?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's kind of widely known that George has a bit of a comedic side to him, right? So, he can respect some good humor. And I feel like a lot of this is kind of right up his alley as far as all the slapstick. And
he likes slapstick a lot.
He does, yeah. So this is kind of this is something that would make him laugh, right?
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I would love to sit down and watch an episode with George Lucas.
I would.
One day.
I would. I love the Jar Jar. Jar Jar going into Dex's diner. Why does everyone hate Misa?
Right, I kind of want to see the follow up to that.
All right, let's move on to Star Wars Rebels here. So, Lucasfilm first announced Star Wars Rebels on May 20th, 2013, following the news that the animated television series Star Wars: The Clone Wars would be ending, and that a new series would be produced. And this is why I'm bitter, by the way, about Star Wars. I'm still there's a small bitter taste in my mouth, even though it's grown on me a little bit. Star Wars Rebels was the first new major Star Wars project to be released following the Disney acquisition of Lucasfilm in 2012. The series was created by Dave Filoni, Simon Kinberg, and Carrie Beck. Do you remember when this show was announced?
I do, yeah, because you and I were at school when this trailer came out.
Yeah, that's right.
And I remember this because I thought it looked really great, and I was really excited to explore more in the original trilogy era.
Mm-hmm.
And now I recall you just being so bitter and just pointing out every single flaw you possibly could because you're just so upset by Clone Wars.
I was so upset, man. But the Clone Wars cancellation, it was just such a great looking show. And, when I heard that they were doing this new Star Wars show based in Rebels and all this and that, and it was going to be launching on Disney XD, and this was before we even had any kind of major visual cue as to what the show would even look like. And then when they finally released the teasers, then I was even more upset because it clearly didn't look like Clone Wars at all. And
no, they went for almost like a hand painted pastel kind of look. It almost felt like they're trying to be in McQuarrie's paintings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So on February,
for the textures at least.
Yeah, the whole matte painting style or the concept artwork style of the McQuarrie look. Yeah, same. That's why the lightsabers look so weird, because it's based on Ralph McQuarrie's kind of original concept design.
Wow.
And any art is artistically
weird from a certain point of view.
That's right. On February 4th, 2014, Lucasfilm distributed 6 original artwork pieces by Amy Beth Christensen exclusively to 6 select websites across the internet. That was Empire, ET Online, IGN, Mashable, Omelette, and theforce.net to promote Star Wars Rebels. The artwork presented in the form of Imperial propaganda posters was part of an exclusive mailing campaign in which limited edition cards featuring the artwork were sent to 2,500 people around the world on February 5th. The mailings arrived in black embossed envelopes addressed from the Commission of the Preservation of the New Order on Coruscant and included a letter urging citizens to proudly display the posters in support of the Imperial occupation on Lothal. The 6 card backs, when combined together, formed the Rebels Phoenix logo. The first 2 episodes, titled Spark of Rebellion, premiered on October 3rd, 2014 on Disney Channels worldwide and on Family Channel in Canada. Did you watch the premiere of any of this stuff?
I did, yeah.
And what did you think of it when you first saw it?
I enjoyed it enough. I thought it was fun, but I was really annoyed that I felt like I had been catfished with the fact that I read the novel.
A New Dawn.
Was it A New Dawn?
Yeah.
And in the novel, I really liked Kanan a lot. And then we got the show, and he was nothing like the novel character at all.
So we've spoken about this before, but to anyone who is fairly new to the show, the first canon novel in its full length that was revealed or released with under the Disney banner was A New Dawn, which was introduced Kanan and Hera into a story in which they took on a villain by the name of Count Vidian, who was working for the Empire. And this was supposed to be a tie-in novel to Star Wars Rebels, except it was released with the Del Rey label. So it's the first Del Rey Star Wars novel in the canon. And this was after the announcement of Star Wars Rebels, but before the show's teasers, came out. And, we read this book and got, kind of used to the characters. And then finally the show came out and boom, it was like, well, this show is for kids. And that the book is for adults. I mean, what do we, like, what is this?
Well, I thought it was like preteens or something. Like it wasn't terribly like adults. Yeah.
So let's take a listen to this first teaser trailer, which is very short and simple and sweet, and we'll kind of go from there.
To battle the Empire, a rebel alliance will form. The Jedi will rise, and you will know the power of the Force. Star Wars Rebels, coming in 2014 to Disney XD.
Okay, so that was it. That was the title card that just, we got the logo of what the title would look like, and it was just this really typical Disney XD voice, like Star Wars Rebels coming to you on Disney XD. The really like YTV sounding voice, and it was nothing like the cinematic reveals that we had from each season of the Clone Wars so far, because we just talked about those, and every season by season.
We went through the movies, and it was pretty close to maybe like Empire Strikes Back or like one of those trailers, right? Probably like that was a label. Just the name.
Totally. But it was just one of those things. I got the vibes that it was like, this is for little kids. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just got a bad feeling because, you know, as Clone Wars kind of aged on.
Bad feeling about this.
Yeah. It was just, as Clone Wars aged on people and the seasons got higher and higher. I mean, like you get to that final finale season and it's like, dang, this looks good. I mean, we're at the point where it's like, this is hyped. You know, people love this show. And this was at the time, it was season 5. Because, you know, well, season 5, 6, because 7 came way later, but they, you know, they looked great and they sounded great. And it was all this like cinematic reveal of how they cut it together and the music and everything like that. And then we get this little quick 15-second title drop, you know, presented to us by the same guy who announces Sweet Life of Zack and Cody every day. And I'm like, okay, come on. Like, really?
But at the same time, man, like there's nothing there to really judge the show on yet.
Right. No, I was just saying I was judging so hard of the, you know.
You wanted to not like it.
I wanted to not like it because it took my favorite show away from me, which was Star Wars: The Clone Wars, right? Like it literally replaced it in the schedule. And you know,
like every morning you would start class by bringing up a picture of the Disney logo and shaking your fist at it.
Yeah. Not to mention they fired a whole bunch of people from Lucasfilm Animation who were on Clone Wars, and a lot of this stuff was outsourced to the Disney animation crews, which were, you know, being Disney XD was, you know, on a fairly tight budget, so a lot of that was not even held locally in North America and stuff. So there was just a whole lot of things that I was like, I don't know. I don't think I like any of this. But the first full season came out. Let's take a look at this extra full-length trailer, which, you know, I know we've been only talking about the first teaser trailers, but for this one, it's worth kind of taking a look further into this and looking at the full-length thing. So let's take a listen.
This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen.
In a time of darkness, when fear ruled the galaxy,
move along. This is a restricted area.
heroes will rise.
Entering hyperspace.
Destinies will collide.
Who is that kid?
And a rebellion will ignite.
I'm going to snuff out this spark before it catches fire.
What happened down there?
He did.
We need an opening. Found one.
Kid, stop!
Sounds like someone I used to know.
All troopers, focus your fire on the Jedi.
Our future is uncertain. But in time, a new hope will emerge.
Your parents must be worried sick.
I don't have parents.
The Force is strong with you, Ezra. Come with us. Learn what it truly means to be a Jedi.
What part of Blast Them did you not understand?
It's over, Jedi. Not this time. Now!
The premiere of Star Wars Rebels. Join the rebellion. Coming this October on Disney XD.
Excuse the intrusion, Inquisitor, but I have encountered a rebel cell.
You did well to call.
So that was interesting. We got the reveal of the Grand Inquisitor, and you know what's interesting to note about that is you're right about the whole like look back at the 70s, because that narration, as cheesy as it sounds, I guess it's kind of what they used to do like back in the day, right?
Oh yeah, they totally would do like a voiceover. That went on not just the 70s, but through the 80s and I would say most of the 90s as well. It really only stopped being a thing around 2000. It really felt like two trailers.
I think Duel of Fates, you know, it's safe to say that makes anything better.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'll save any trailer. The movie for the 1980s Mario Brothers is pretty terrible. I'd like to see a trailer to that, to Duel of the Fates.
Yeah, we're gonna look for those fan edits now that we've said that.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles. Like, I don't know, pick a dated movie, something that you would never think to be with. Duel of the Fates, and edit it to that. I think that'd be great.
So,
but, yeah, it's the narration at the beginning. I think that was all for the Spark Rebellion, like initial movie they put out. Like that's all the footage they had to it, and that section of the trailer looked pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
But then the second half got a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and at some point, I think you and I are gonna go through and do a Rebels talk after show. Much like how Diego and I did Clone Wars talk, there's a rough plan to do that since Diego never ended up having the time to go through Rebels. So
it's about time for a rewatch. I've watched Clone Wars about 3 times since I've seen Rebels. So.
yeah. I think Rebels is certainly for me. I haven't seen it for way too long, so I'd be very excited to do a rewatch on that and go through it. Anyone listening, look forward to that in the fall.
Yeah, and I'm curious what your take will be on it, because I think it'll be a very different perspective than the first time you watched it.
Yeah, absolutely. And with all these live action shows, they've actually, Ahsoka is essentially this is what I hear, is it's essentially season 5 of Star Wars Rebels. Like there's that tied into the narrative. So
she did become a very prominent character towards the end.
She did, yeah, for sure. And I'm sure we may even see her pop up in some of these trailers here. But let's hit season 2, which was the very the awaited trailer. And I must say, when I saw this trailer, I was much more excited and ready to invest myself in this story than when I was exposed to the first trailer for the first time. So let's take a look at this.
Things are getting worse just as they did back when I was your age. But back then, there were 10,000 Jedi Knights protecting the galaxy. Now,
there's just you and me.
We rob from the Empire, give to the needy. A noble cause.
Yeah.
I'm on my mark.
Gotcha!
Mission accomplished.
Lord Vader.
Yes, Master.
The rebels in the Lothal system. Hunt them down.
As you wish.
Fighter, coming in at Mark 3.
We've lost Phoenix 1 and 2.
We will squeeze Lothal until someone reveals the whereabouts of these traitors.
For the good of Lothal, we have to leave.
All right if I tag along?
The more the merrier.
Fighting alongside soldiers isn't what I signed up for.
We are fighting a bigger fight.
We can't just run.
Ezra, we were lucky to survive. The fear, the anger, the hate. I haven't sensed a presence like that since
the Clone Wars.
My name is Rex, Captain. 501st Clone Battalion. I fought with Commander Tano during the Clone Wars. And a friend of hers is a friend of mine.
Everyone, hang on!
Good news, we are off on an adventure.
Rex, keep those ties off our back.
Working on it.
Surrender or be destroyed.
I hope you brought a better class of soldier than those stormtroopers.
They'll all be coming now.
I'm not afraid.
That's what worries me.
Master has deceived you into believing you can become a Jedi.
All right, so that's the season 2 trailer, and lots more Vader in there, which gave me
Dang.
I got these major like episode 5 / Clone Wars vibes watching that trailer for the first time when that season was announced, and I got really excited because I was like,
Yeah.
it's Rex, yeah.
Yeah, and Ahsoka. And you got Wolf in there too. You got Hondo, and you got Vader.
Yeah, Hondo's back, and it
getting
was
the gang back together.
so good. At the end of season 1, when Ahsoka came out, and we had the end of the Grand Inquisitor and everything, it left a lot of questions as to where the show was going to go. And there was a bit of a post-credit scene, I think, somewhere, or maybe I'm thinking of Spark of Rebellion, but yeah, there was a lot of questions as to where the show was going to go, and they brought Vader out to play. And I really hoped that they weren't going to reduce the threat of that character.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I know we were all really nervous that it would be kind of the General Grievous effect, and we brought that up a few times.
Yeah, so I'm glad that the balance was good.
Yeah, because the last thing you want to do, and I think Dave Filoni actually spoke about this, is you don't want to take a character like Vader and then make him like somewhat incompetent by like being foiled by these rebels every week.
yeah, exactly. It was kind of nice to get Ezra as more of a capable character too, now that he was swinging around his own lightsaber and learning the ways of the Force, whereas in the first season it was a lot of
what's that? Street rat.
Yeah, Star Wars Aladdin.
Loth rat, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, it was cool. Like the show advanced itself a little bit, and it seems to have aged it up a little bit as the seasons went by. And I think
felt like it. I mean, the end of that trailer, you get Vader almost using the Force to make Ezra almost cut his own head off.
Yeah,
his lightsaber, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah. So there was definitely a lot to like about that season, and I think it was the season. Was it the season 2 finale, or maybe it was the season 3 finale that was just insanely well done?
It was two. It was two because it was these two Inquisitors, and we had Vader and Ahsoka, which are all in the trailer, which is at the end. But they didn't reveal, spoilers, Darth Maul shows up too.
That's right. Yeah,
this is a big season.
It was a big season. Yeah, it was a big season, and this was the season that kind of, for me, it was like, okay, I think this is actually going to go places,
Yeah.
It still wasn't Clone Wars, and I was still, even to this day, like I would still love to see the completion of that show. But it is what it is, and we ended up getting a good story out of this series, and Dave Filoni kind of pulled through on this one. So
no, it's true. I do find it interesting how both series, season 1 is really rough.
It is, for sure. In both shows, they have a rough start.
And I think that is mainly to do with just the amount of production time to get the show together, assets, get characters, getting to like the actors and actresses are trying to figure out like the characters that are playing really well and make a cohesive group. Like all these things make it far more difficult. And you go into season 2 and everyone's kind of got their stride, right?
Yeah, you're so right. Yeah, because they record in one room together, and they almost treat it like a radio show. Everyone's kind of feeding off each other's energy when they're doing their lines and stuff. So
good way to do it.
It is, yeah, for sure. So let's take a look at season 3.
Ahsoka!
Battles leave scars. Some you can't see.
I will never let my friends get hurt again.
The holocron. I'm afraid it's changing him.
What if there are secrets we can learn from it that'll help us destroy the Sith?
Ezra, the secrets in that thing almost destroyed you.
There are Imperial cadets at the Sky Strike Academy who wish to defect to the rebels.
This is Ty SS-25. You can call me Wedge.
Welcome to the rebellion.
Still can't believe we're here to break this guy out of prison.
My friends, I give to you Reclaim Station.
If we could steal a squadron's worth,
They would be key to building a strike fleet.
Let's go get them.
Everybody ready?
Yep. Let's go. One last glorious day in the Grand Army of the Republic.
Flying stormtroopers?
Worse, Mandalorians who serve the Empire. You haven't forgotten our ways. That has earned my respect.
so what's in it for you two?
Riches untold, that sort of thing. So we'll split the treasure. Split the treasure. Oh, that's a classic.
Governor Price, these rebels have proven particularly stubborn. How do you intend to solve this problem?
I need someone who sees a bigger picture.
The Empire is getting better at anticipating our moves. I underestimated the commander. Previous attacks were clumsy, but this one was swift, precise.
To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art.
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Caravast. Embrace your destiny.
Jedi and Sith, the light and the dark. I'm the one in the middle, the Bendu. Once a secret is known, it cannot be unknown.
Your anger gives you strength.
I will pull the rebels apart piece by piece.
I must become more powerful.
They'll be the architects of their own destruction.
Ezra, turn away before it's too late! The key to destroying the Sith.
Yeah, so intense. I loved it. You know, when I saw this season, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, you know, we got Thrawn, we got Maul, you know, again. Like, it's just so good, right? You know,
yeah, man.
Ezra was actually likable in this season. Like, you know,
He
a
grew
lot
up
more.
a lot.
Yeah, he grew up a lot. They aged him up a lot. He had his own lightsaber now, like a green one.
And he was going to the dark side.
Yeah. It was just so cool. And they also, I mean, Dave was also very unresolved about the Clone Wars. You know, he never got to finish that show until much later with season 7 on Disney Plus. But there was an episode in the season which was just literally delivered for all those Clone Wars fans out there. And I'm blanking on what it was called now. I'm just trying to look it up here, but it was an episode that was purely it was purely written for being like kind of the last war or the last battle of the Clone Wars. And I think it's called The Last Battle. It's called The Last Battle, which is you know, probably in part named after even the Narnia book. Yeah. So The Last Battle was kind of inspired as a one last fight to end the Clone Wars, and it's all kind of part of the story as to why it is what it is. But the description on this episode is: on a salvage mission led by Captain Rex, the Ghost crew is captured by a unit of old battle droids determined to fight one last battle to end the Clone Wars. And it was really, really cool. And I, you know, the entire time that I was watching the episode, it was just kind of written to be a love letter to everyone who loved the Clone Wars and never quite got to see the finish, right? But they always wrote Star Wars Rebels to act as if it was finished. So that's why when you do watch Star Wars Rebels, there's a lot of callbacks to Clone Wars and a lot of people summing up stuff as to how things were left.
Because they kept the unreleased scripts as canon.
That's right.
In universe.
That's right. Yeah. So even when you watch the Book of Boba Fett, the little showdown between Cad Bane and Boba is, you know, kind of subtly, tilts its head towards an unproduced story arc between the two of them. And to this day, no one's seen the full episodes because they were canceled and never produced. But they still treat those as stories that Lucasfilm as having had happened, right? So yeah, very, very cool. And season 3 was quite a special one. Thrawn was such a big deal too.
That's the thing, right? I recall through season 2 and towards the before the trailer, there's a lot of rumors online that Thrawn was going to show up, and I was so stoked because I've always been a huge fan of the Zahn trilogy.
Right. How did you like the portrayal of Thrawn, being his first time in any kind of portrayal on screen?
I remember I was a little bit mixed, just because, and the thing is, in the novels, you can take a villain and you can make him, I feel like, a whole nother level of competent, and it's really hard to do that in an animated show without making your heroes look incompetent.
Right.
Because in a novel, you have throwaway characters, so they can lose to Thrawn or whoever, and it doesn't matter. Whereas if your crew of heroes is just banging their head constantly and never getting a leg up, it's not really the same. So it was there was a bit of back and forth. I had a little bit of conflict with the final release or portrayal of Thrawn that we got, but I think overall they did a good job. I felt, especially at the end, knowing that, spoilers, he was able to do what he needed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at season 4, which, that being said, so let's take a listen.
It was a simple story about a boy who was lost and a girl who was broken. They fought alongside a survivor, a war veteran, and a fallen knight. I led them into battle against an evil so terrible, it tried to black out the stars. We fought for each other. We fought for those who could not. But we never imagined it would end like this.
This is a time of difficult choices. Sometimes impossible ones.
As long as we're together, we've got a chance.
At least we'll go down fighting.
All paths are coming together now.
It's time to get to work.
We are the balance, Ezra. We were meant to be Jedi so we could be here now, when Lothal needs us most.
May the Force be with you.
Lots of feeling in that trailer, being planned as the last one, right?
Yeah,
which was coming fall 2017.
We were also left with the question if they were going to survive or not, because none of these characters show up in A New Hope.
Totally.
Or any of the original trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely. There was it was kind of a bit of spoilers here, because we are talking about stuff that's further down the show. But do you remember which season was it that Kanan died? Was it the 3rd season?
Oh shoot! I forgot that he died.
Yeah.
I know he got blinded in season 2.
Yeah.
And then we saw the Bendu in season 3.
Yeah.
Which,
I think he dies at the end of season 3. I'm pretty sure that's...
He's got to, right?
Yeah.
Because at season 4, it wouldn't make... Because it must have been a flashback here when we see him.
There was a whole... and there was that whole kind of arc with the world between worlds at one point. I feel like that was season 3 or 4, where Ezra pulls Ahsoka out of that season 2 moment and kind of teleports her through time, and so that's why she skips like a whole season or whatever. So there was a whole bunch of crazy stuff that was going on in this. So we finally got the resolution to why Thrawn and Ezra are no longer in why they're not in the original trilogy. You know, we had that answered. We had Zeb and everything kind of like go back to his homeworld and whatever. But
their hidden homeworld, which was kind of cool.
This trailer was so cool because it sort of brought a whole lot of more meaning to why the show started off on Lothal and why it kept on going back to Lothal like in the first season. And it was nice to kind of see them bring some more meaning to that planet and being Ezra's homeworld, and more or less kind of a corrective story on how Anakin always thought that he would be, right? He wanted to become a Jedi and go back and free the slaves, right? That's what he always wanted to do. And something that he hoped that Qui-Gon would do as well, right? So it was really cool to kind of get that moment with Ezra, and like finally now having learned the ways of the Force and all that, is able to go back to his homeworld and help the rebellion liberate it from the Empire, right? Very, very good stories that they managed to pull off, and a lot of emotion wrapped up in that final trailer.
Oh, so I did just look it up. Kanan dies in season 4.
Season 4. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah. It's an episode called Jedi Night. Night spelled like nighttime.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. And so, okay. So I guess that was Ezra then in season 4 that finally kind of saved Ahsoka as well.
That was through the weird time gate thing that they seem to avoid now.
Yeah, that's right. That's
and
right.
it's just like it's the linchpin to every possible fan theory of like uncanonizing stuff. It's so funny.
It's pretty funny, yeah. Okay, so that being said, I mean, is there anything we want to say on Star Wars Rebels before we wrap up and move on to Resistance here?
Yeah, I didn't know that Chopper was a war veteran.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess they kind of hinted at the fact that he was like just an astromech that was used like for, ages ago, like even before R2 units were a thing. So he's older than R2D2. But yeah, I think they decided to call him a war veteran because he may have seen a lot of battle or something like that, prior to Hero owning him.
I thought they were alluding that he was like an active duty.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it is a bit of a curious thing to call an astromech droid, but yeah, I guess they are after a while of watching them, they kind of grow on you, right? They become a character of their own, and Chopper had so much character.
It's pretty funny too because he's such a bitter old man. He's so grumpy all the time, which makes him, if he was an actual war veteran, would make sense because he's a grizzled old war veteran, right?
Right. Yeah, and droids have such personality in Star Wars. They're basically their own breed, right? Like they're their own race of being in the galaxy. I mean, if you play a Star Wars RPG character, you can actually be a droid.
And I think Chopper is also the only character to ever use the words WTF. But,
when was that?
He says it all the time. It's all garbles. It goes bah, bah, bah. He does it all the time.
Right. Isn't it Dave Filoni that voices Chopper?
Yeah, it is. And they didn't reveal that till I think season 4. It was like a long time.
Yeah. All right, so Star Wars. What was that?
I was gonna say it's always Chopper as himself, just like R2. Right?
Yeah. So yeah, it ended up being such a good show, and again, Ahsoka will be the continuation of that story. Of course, Thrawn and Ezra and everything like that. That's all going to come to a continuation, not a conclusion, but a continuation in the Ahsoka series, and it's going to keep going into the future until we have this massive crossover event between Book of Boba, Mandalorian, and Ahsoka, which will be really, really cool.
It's pretty cool. It's going to be the Star Wars equivalent Endgame, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it. So Star Wars Resistance, the series premiered on Disney Channel October 7th, 2018. And the next day it debuted on Disney XD in the US and worldwide. 12 shorts debuted on Disney Channel YouTube in December 2018. Actually, no, 12 shorts. No, I can only remember 4, but maybe that fact is wrong. The second and final season premiered on October 6th of 2019. And the series ended on January 26th, 2020, after 40 episodes. So a trailer was released in August 17th, 2018, showcasing the new animation style and characters. It received a very negative reaction from fans, including criticism for its apparent targeting of younger viewers, and both praise and criticism for the anime style CGI, which is 3D animation with a 2D shader. Blair Marnell of Nerdist compared the initial reaction to early stigma. The Clone Wars and Rebels suffered for early, similarly targeting younger demographics during the release, only for both of those shows to become more positively received with the subsequent seasons. So I never thought that season 2 really sold the show for me, but it did get a little better. I think it just took some time maybe to kind of get settled in my system. But let's take a quick look at this teaser trailer, and then we can this is called First Look Trailer Star Wars Resistance, and it was released on the Disney YouTube channel. So let's take a quick look at this.
Can you imagine what it's like to be an ace pilot? This is your chance to make that true.
I've got a mission for you.
Yes!
Blend in, find out who's loyal to the good guys and who isn't.
What was that?
What was what?
The throwing and the falling. Over there.
Don't think about it.
You can work on my team,
Get ready to be impressed.
but when it comes to your mission as a spy, I don't want anything to do with it.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
I just wanted to wish my competition good luck.
This is fine. I'm fine.
Just be careful and don't explode.
I'll do my best.
This should be good.
Here we go.
Star Wars Resistance in all new series premieres Sunday, October 7th at 10 on Disney Channel.
Yes!
All right, so that's the first look. What do you think of that trailer? Did you see that? Do you remember seeing that trailer, and any thoughts you might have had on it?
Oh man, so I'll do before and after. So when the trailer first came out, I was not excited at all. It looked like it was targeting like a very young audience.
Yeah, it's very slapsticky, and
Yeah, and it reminded me. Maybe this is part of the reason. Which is funny because it's also twofold, and it reminded me of a lot of the cheap early 3D animation cartoons that I watched growing up when I was in like elementary school. Specifically, there's one, and it was like a Matchbox racing TV show. It reminded me of that so much. I'll see if I can find a trailer or something for it. But
yeah,
and so I was not excited. I thought it was going to be just so cringy the entire time, and then I actually enjoyed it because it was nostalgic to like these kids shows I used to watch back in the day.
It's funny because what was Bryce's thoughts on that show? Because I can't remember.
I don't think he watched it, man.
No, I don't think he watched it either. Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him again. But I just remember seeing that teaser trailer, and I was like, it's just first Clone Wars was awesome, right? Then we get Rebels. It's like, okay, it's a bit of a step down, but it got better. But it still never wasn't. It was still never Clone Wars, And then we get this, and I was like, okay, I'm already not really enjoying this era. We had the return of Poe Dameron, for some cameo appearances here and there, showing up in the trailer and all that. But now this show's coming out on like the Disney Channel, not even like Disney XD. It was just straight up just like a Disney Channel show.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that should tell you all you need to know.
This is like, I was like, what is this? I mean, like, I don't know. For me, it just didn't really do it. And then I saw the show, and I was like, okay, like, it's all right. Like for a younger person, this show is probably like the stuff, But just for like a seasoned Star Wars fan, didn't do it right, and didn't quite hit the mark for me. I don't know.
Did it catch on?
Well,
with younger audiences.
I don't think so, because they only made 2 seasons, right? And it's not like they couldn't have made more if it was successful. I think it's just like they saw probably a decline in viewership maybe, and figured, let's just move on to other things. So they wrapped up the story pretty nicely in a little bow, by the end of season 2, and sort of tied it into the middle of the sequel trilogy. I think it kind of overlapped with The Last Jedi and sort of like tagged onto that and left it up to that whole year's worth of a time gap between episode 8 and 9. So, but yeah, we had characters return. Like I think Phasma made some appearances in the show, and
a bunch
General
of the characters
Hux
did.
Yeah, General Hux.
Poe Dameron was in a lot, and then Leia as well.
That's right. Yeah, and they found a pretty good voice double for Leia, because I think at one point, I think it was season 2 or something, that she showed up, and at that point, Carrie was already passed away. So let's take a look at the season 2 trailer, and we'll take a listen to this.
Everyone back to the Colossus!
Stabilizers hit!
Use a little help! I can't shake! Get us into space!
It's a huge risk.
They're only way too soon.
It's going to be hard to keep this station together with the First Order at our backs.
We're running low on everything.
Food? Water? Even fuel?
Please, be patient. We're in the middle of a war.
And you can thank your captains for that. The Colossus deserves a new home. We have to work together if we're gonna survive.
We'd only take orders from one tyrant, Captain Kragan.
Tabra, if you are to rise in the ranks, I will require your total cooperation.
Yes, sir.
She is key to finding the Colossus.
Finally, we will wipe them out.
Fail, and I will see to your execution personally.
They're everywhere. Entire planets are just giving up.
It's just like the Empire when I was a kid.
How did they know how to find us?
Yes, get as far away as you can. There are bounty hunters who might be coming.
Just act casual and keep a low profile.
I was a spy. I'm a master at keeping a low profile. Most impressive.
I trust the Aces can handle this.
I think she's the one in charge.
Ooh, you're quick.
What is this place? I don't recognize all of these symbols.
It's a power source from an ancient time.
Faison has returned.
The resistance is proving to be stronger than we anticipated.
I got him.
We're good to go. Punch it.
If you are not capable of dealing with them, then I will find someone who can.
All right, so way more cinematic than the first reveal for the first trailer, and bringing
totally different vibe.
Yeah, totally different vibe. Much darker. You got Kylo Ren in there. Lots more action. Less of the slapsticky stuff that we got from the first reveal. And
no, it's still there.
It's still there. Yeah, it's still there, but it's not like it's completely saturated with it, the first reveal was, right? So the season 2 had me a little bit more, little bit more kind of like, okay, let's see how this kind of goes. And I think when they released the trailer for this, they did confirm this was going to be the last season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there was some more weird stuff going on at the time, because I think this was kind of around like that Solo era kind of time, where Disney was really, it looks really kind of starting to switch it up.
Yeah, they started to shift gears a little bit on the production end. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually really liked, looking back on it, I really liked the concept for the show, where I really like that there's no Force users. You're just in the galaxy. There's just could be regular Joes. You're kind of in the outskirts, people trying to just live outside the Empire or whatever. They had this little metropolis where they would race or whatever, right? It's it's not as grungy as Tatooine with Jabba's palace and stuff, but it's still not somewhere desirable to live either. So these people just
Right.
trying to get by, and
Yeah.
then they're forced to go on the run to keep their way of life, and these ace pilots that were racing are forced to become ace like fighter pilots. I think it's a cool concept.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is a pretty neat idea, and there were some things about it that were kind of cool. Like it did pay a lot of homage to George's love of cars, because it was the first piece of Star Wars that ever did any kind of story based around racing. And since the Phantom Menace, it was the first one to do that ever since Phantom Menace, which was, for me, I thought that was arguably one of the cooler aspects of the show.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing I dislike, is that they didn't do enough of the racing. There was too many side plots. So like the first season,
yeah,
almost the whole thing. I'm blanking on the main character's name here. Kaz. Almost the whole first season, he was just a mechanic and never got to actually like fly a racer.
Right.
It was as soon as he kind of started, because I think he did the pilot and he crashed or whatever, that he was a mechanic for the rest of the time trying to work it off and get another one working, and he only starts flying at the end of season 1, and then they're on the run. So there's not that much racing, which to me was one of the mistakes.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Star Wars Resistance, like those ships, there were some pretty cool Lego ships. Like, do you remember there was like one or two which they released these starfighters, like the racers.
I never got those.
The TIE Fighter one. There was a TIE Fighter one, and I think they did release his X-Wing kind of ish crossover thing. But the cool part about the ships in that show was they were all kind of handmade Frankenstein vehicles, various different ships all kind of conglomerate together to make a slick racer, right?
I wonder if the inspiration for that is like kids like what are they, like the boxcar racing?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, something that was really interesting about it was that you're right. Like it took place in the galaxy or at a certain point with a completely different set of characters. Like, yeah, we had the small appearances of like Poe Dameron and whoever else that was involved with like the whole resistance aspect of the show, but the whole like racing aspect of it was like pretty separate. And but then they ended up all getting sucked into the resistance, and the racers end up becoming like the defense force of the space station that they're on. And
I would say that's the part I also disliked quite a lot, was all the First Order stuff, except for the one girl who switched sides and like betrayed everyone. I thought that was good. My favorite storylines are always around those pirates. I thought the pirates are great, especially like. To be like all those sort of things together, like all the characters in the show, I thought were really well done and really thought out and really well portrayed.
Yeah,
I would watch it just for that. I think that's actually why I ended up going all the way through.
Right,
it was just a lot of fun. Like it was just cheesy.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was around this time when season 2 wrapped up that the trailer and the show for The Mandalorian had been announced. And the new TV show was announced by CEO Robert Iger during the Disney quarterly earnings on November 9th, 2017, which is quite a bit earlier than season 2 came out. Because season 2 of Star Wars Resistance, I think, finished in 2020, or I think it was 2020 or 2019 or something like that. So let's take a listen to the season 1 trailer of The Mandalorian. And the season 1 trailer, which kicked off live action Star Wars on Disney Plus. And this teaser, I believe, came out I think it was August 2019 on the 23rd. So let's take a look at this.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Don't you agree?
What an amazing reveal. It's just this intense build-up of, I mean, we get shots of like the stormtrooper helmets on the pikes, you know, you get shots of the Razor Crest. You don't quite see the full reveal of the Mandalorian until 3/4 of the way through the whole teaser trailer. And the whole thing is just building to this hype because at this point, people had anticipated Star Wars TV for so long, ever since George's Underworld TV show announced. And this was in the spirit of that, basically. You know, you just see these silhouettes of him in the armor and everything until the final shot where he has that showdown between the stormtroopers in the client's like office or whatever, right? And you know, you get his silver helmet and the Beskar, the raw Beskar. It's so cool, right? I mean,
I
like,
was so excited for this, man.
Oh yeah, I was extremely excited. I mean, yeah, I mean, I can't quite remember exactly where I was when this debuted, because now, of course, like what we were saying, it was like we can access these trailers like just anywhere now, you know, on YouTube when they drop.
For all I know, I was like at work in the bathroom or
right,
like,
yeah,
like a coffee shop, like waiting for my drink to be ready. Like it could have been anywhere.
So good though, right? I mean, this is the teaser that kicked off live action Star Wars on Disney Plus. So let's take a quick look at. Sorry,
I just wanted to point out, like when this came out, man, like I was so excited. Like we were, Bryce and I, we were all talking just like Star Wars stuff because like, and I remember sharing on multiple occasions that I really want to start watching more stuff that doesn't have Jedi focused on it, and the stuff that's in the underworld, because I think the underworld is such a rich, well to pull stories from. And then we got this. I'm like, this is like right the era I want to be in, like right after Return of the Jedi, where you're dealing with all the chaos of the Empire has just fallen and become splintered. Same as that, like the Thrawn trilogy. It's just such a rich era that is just, it's right, man. And I was just so excited. This was everything that I wanted it to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love the description too, like on the trailer on the website, on YouTube, it says, after the stories of Jango and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. And you know, where it's set as well, after the fall of the Empire, but before the emergence of the First Order, it was just that time period that I feel like this is where we wanted to see a sequel. You know, this is where people wanted episode 7 to take place, which was within the context of what had just happened, right?
Yeah.
And this was going to show us that world, you know, it was going to give us that story based in that era, which was
we wanted to see what was going to happen after everyone was done celebrating the Forest Moon.
Yeah, exactly. So this show being, you know, taking place 5 years later is kind of a great way to look at the aftermath of how things went. And you know, it's so typical. It's like, yeah, there's stormtrooper helmets on pikes, you know, and you know, people have taken back their worlds, right, with the help of the rebellion.
That I think was always overlooked was, sure, the Emperor's gone and the Death Star's gone, but the Empire was like trillions of people and soldiers and stuff. That doesn't just disappear.
Right.
Like there's going to be a lot of infighting, and it's just the way the politics of it is, but they're not just going to vanish.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it was so cool, you know, to see these like beat up stormtroopers and this yellowed armor that had been, you know, around for quite a while at that point. And because it's worth knowing, it's like the entire events of the original trilogy take place over the course of like 4 years, I think it is. And, you know, this was 5 years later. So it's basically the same kind of time period that you're looking at between, you know, young, whiny Luke wanting to be a Jedi and leave home, and to the point where he's his awesomeness in episode 6. And, you know, this is like kind of that same section of time, but after the fact, right? So it was so cool to see like a little peek of that universe, like just in this time period. That was like, oh, it's so interesting. I mean, the Empire's still kicking around a little bit, hiring bounty hunters and stuff to do their dirty work. So pretty interesting stuff. Let's take a look at the season 2 trailer, which I must say, I think we're all very excited after seeing the first season.
Show me the one whose safety deemed such destruction. You must reunite it with its own kind.
Where?
This you must determine. The songs of eons past tell of battles between Mandalore the Great and an order of sorcerers called Jedi.
You expect me to search the galaxy and deliver this creature to a race of enemy sorcerers?
This is the way.
You know this is no place for a child. Wherever I go, he goes. So I've heard. This is the way.
I remember seeing that little moment with Grogu like shutting his egg, and I remember having a good laugh at that the first time, because it's like we all know what's gonna happen after he activates his wrist gauntlet. You know, the Seeking Sparrows or whatever they're called.
It's the Whistling Pig.
Yeah. There's a new name. We'll come up with a new name for every single time.
Yep.
I love the in-universe music that they kick things off with. It reminded me of a song that they played in Jedi Fallen Order, which was this one, when they're in the arena, fighting. You have to fight all those creatures or something that's coming at you. Right? You remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're in the battle arena.
Yeah, it reminded me of that, like the deep growling kind of.
Yeah. Well, you know what that also sounds like? Maz's castle.
Yeah. Maz's castle had music like that going on as well. And season 3 it was teased at Star Wars Celebration 2022 not that long ago, except that teaser trailer was not revealed to the public. And they've started to do that as of this celebration. They've started to reveal stuff that's not publicly available, and so you can find the phone footage, which has been
promptly removed.
Yeah, promptly removed. It's still floating around. If you really want to take a fuzzy look at what it might contain, there are some pretty neat little reveals in there, but nothing crazy. Obviously it's a follow-up to major events that happened in season 2. But I think a lot of us are looking forward to season 3 coming. What is it? Sometime, I think it's next year in spring. So
I don't even know off the top of my head, to be honest.
I think it's next year in spring, or maybe this year in No, I think it's next year in January, February, something like that. But yeah. I mean, there's so many Star Wars shows to keep track of.
Cassian's next, right?
Andor, yes, Andor's next. Yeah. Which we'll take a look at in just a moment. The next one up is The Bad Batch, which by September 2016, Star Wars: The Clone Wars and Rebels supervisor director Dave Filoni had stepped back from his position on the later series so he could focus more on the writing, as well as development of future animated series for Lucasfilm. And in July 2018, Filoni announced that a final season of The Clone Wars would be released on the streaming service for Disney Plus in 2020. The season included a 4-episode arc introducing a squad of clone troopers with genetic mutations known as the Bad Batch. The episodes previously existed as the proxy animation story reels from an earlier season, unfinished and released on the Season 6 bonus material. And we did talk about them in the Clone Wars Talk sub-series that we did on this podcast. Those stories came directly as plans from Star Wars creator George Lucas, and Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy promoted the series at Disney Investor Day on December 10th, 2020, revealing the first trailer for the series. So let's take a look at the season 1 sizzle, which was technically the first thing, and there was later an extra trailer that was a full length, but let's just take a look at the first one here.
They call themselves the Bad Batch.
The Republic will be reorganized into the First Galactic Empire!
That was quite an impressive display.
Oh, I love the logo reveal. The Clone Wars burns away, and you get Star Wars: The Bad Batch underneath. It's so good. It's basically
cool.
the sequel to the Clone Wars, which we never asked for, but we got anyways. And
Yeah,
awesome.
that's right. That's Lucasfilm and Disney like, come back.
Yeah,
Bring
yeah,
back
yeah.
the show,
exactly.
sort of.
And plus, you get
Remember?
at that point we had season 1 already of Mandalorian. So, or no, maybe it was season 2, but we got a quick shot of Fennec Shand in the teaser, and
That's right.
yeah, a young Fennec Shand, of course. Which was pretty neat. And, you know, the fact that, oh man, the logo reveal was honestly like the most hype of that whole thing, because like, it's like most people might not know what the Bad Batch is, right? Because they may have not seen the Clone Wars, but having the Clone Wars logo for a split second before it burns away and reveals the Bad Batch logo underneath was like so key, you know? It was like, oh yeah, this is a follow-up.
It really feels like what they were going for. And I had a lot of excitement, a lot of hype for this series, thinking it was going to feel just like Clone Wars did.
Yeah, absolutely. And after watching the first season, I mean, I think you and I both have had thoughts of like, I think we know it's going to get better, but we were slightly underwhelmed with like just how it was approached.
Well, I know I had really high expectations because
it was Clone Wars.
Exactly. And I was expecting more Clone Wars, but I think over watching it and thinking back a bit now, I'm not sure anything will be able to really get that same feeling or that same like the way the show was presented. I don't think they're gonna be able to do that again. Specifically because when we've briefly mentioned this a few times, the way Clone Wars was done with so many different groups of characters and you can kind of jump around a lot, that just creates such a wealth of stories that could be told and stuff that still feels cohesive. Whereas every other series we've got, and I feel like this unfortunately is the way they're going to go because it's just easier, is you just follow like 4 people.
Yeah.
And you can't really do that. You have to have a more linear story.
Right.
And I feel like, to me, that's the thing that's missing to make this feel more like Clone Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that was one of the downfalls of Rebels. It was Star Wars Resistance did that too. You know, it mainly focused on Kaz and his adventures on the whatever that thing was called. You know, and then Bad Batch came along, and it's got the familiarity of Clone Wars because it all looks the same, right? Like it's got the same assets,
textures, same look.
Same great, you know, look for a show,
and familiar characters too, right? Like all the clones are there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the audio played straight out of Revenge of the Sith for Palpatine's moment of revealing that the Empire has become a thing, and you know, knowing that we would see the transition of the Republic to the Empire from a military perspective was really, really fascinating.
Yeah, such a cool era. Like that's another thing I was really excited for, was seeing the steps of the Republic turning into the Empire and the clones turning into stormtroopers and all that. Because we both read the Karen Travis novels, and she wrote novels that went through that, following like a group of commandos. And so I was really excited to see, I guess, how close it was to that, and cross my fingers that it was very close to that.
Yeah. It is kind of cool that George had an idea of having mutated clones like that, and this series is, again, like, it's just something that it's based on the legacy of something that he thought of, right? So I have high appreciation for this show, and being a sequel to Clone Wars, I mean, it's not something I would have ever thought of them ever making, and yet we have it anyway. So I've never disliked the Bad Batch at all. I know there's some fans out there that really don't like the show, but I have high hopes for it. And it's like any of these shows, they've got a pattern, right? Like, they start a bit lower with how they just introduce the characters. It might be a bit slower to get going, and then things just kind of ramp up. And so let's take a look at the season 2 trailer, and this is a very recent reveal from Star Wars Celebration, and this season, I think, kicks off this fall. So let's take a look at this again.
You can buy your freedom. You can have a future. Isn't that what you're after?
We're already free.
Clearly, you're not paying attention to what's happening out there.
It is time for a new era. There are others out there who need our help. We'll take all the allies we can get.
Let's go.
Let's get to work.
Love the beatbox at the end.
Yeah, it's
so
cool.
good, right? We got Gunji, confirmed survivor of Order 66. He's going to show up in season 2. Yeah, the Wookiee Jedi.
We'll also learn, I guess, if he ever was apprenticed or not, because we only saw him as a youngling.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. I guess we'll find out maybe how he got away, and lots more of the Republic Commandos showing up. I know they made the reveals in Clone Wars and season 1 of Bad Batch, but there was that big, huge military base that they were all being trained at. So I think they're the only.
Which was super cool. That's probably my favorite part was that reveal and dealing with all the commandos and stuff. It almost felt like they were going into a James Bond kind of base, like a villain base.
Yeah, absolutely. It was cool that we got this. Like, they might be the only competition that they have, or the only chance that they've got at taking down the Bad Batch. Because they're after them now, right? So, the book of,
to be honest, I felt like we already had 2 seasons of this show. I didn't realize it hadn't came out yet. I thought we were going to season 3.
Season 2, season 2 comes out this year, so I'm super looking forward to that. I think it comes out right after Andor finishes up. So we got 3 more shows here. Book of Boba season 1. Let's take a look. Season 2 will be a thing. We don't have a trailer for that yet, but it is unofficially confirmed. I
believe the plot is he is now giving up wanting to be a crime lord, and instead he's going to open up public library.
There you go.
Go through the adventures of that.
Really, I heard he was opening up a diner.
Oh man, maybe they changed the script. Maybe they there's rewrites.
Well, maybe
go do some reshoots.
Maybe, I don't know. All right, let's take a look at this trailer for season 1.
I am not a bounty hunter. I've heard otherwise. I know that you sit on the throne of your former employer. Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
as captains under Jabba the Hutt.
I'm here to make a proposal that's mutually beneficial. Why speak of conflict when cooperation can make us all rich?
What prevents us all from killing you and taking what we want?
If you had spoken such insolence to Jabba, he'd have fed you to his menagerie.
Please, speak freely.
So this show was announced. They actually kept it very subtly hidden when they announced all the new slate for things at the Disney Investors Day or whatever it was, and it was actually revealed in the post credits of The Mandalorian season 2 that this show was gonna happen. And then later it was confirmed officially. You know, it was like the same day or the next day that Lucasfilm issued a press. That it's like, yes, this is also added onto our slate. We just didn't want to spoil the surprise. But what did you think when you saw that teaser trailer?
I was pretty excited. I know we had long speculated that they were going to make a Boba Fett movie, and hearing all the rumors back and forth that was going to happen, and then it wasn't going to happen, and then this came out almost out of nowhere. Like, that being said, like we got the reveal that Boba was alive in Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not expecting for him to get his own series.
Yeah, no, I guess like, you know, we'd already seen a few episodes where he was in and helped out Din Djarin on his adventure to recover Grogu. Initially, you know, was really after his armor and, you know, knowing that he saved Fennec Shand and all that stuff. And then the finale episode when he shoots off into space with Slave One, you know, having done his job and kind of smacking his hands together, saying, "All right, my job's done here. I reunited the kid with his dad," kind of thing. It was like, okay, I guess I never really thought about it. Like, as what's next for Boba Fett? I thought maybe he'll show up in Mandalorian season 3. But the fact that he actually has his own story and got his own show and everything that kind of ties into the mix of all this stuff is actually really neat. And I did a 1-day watch with Diego just not long ago, within the last like 3 weeks. And because he hadn't seen it yet, and I was like, "Okay, we got to sit down and watch the show." So I sat down and watched it, and you know, even though I've seen each episode kind of 2 or 3 times already, just while we were doing the reviews and you know all the after show stuff for that show, watching all of them kind of just back to back to back in like one kind of binge sitting, it was actually like really cool. And you know, not that I dislike the show ever. Yeah, there's moments where I was like kind of iffy on, and you know, like the speeder chase and whatever else. But I was like, I don't know what it is, but this show just feels better now. It just, like, I did a 1-day watch and I was like, it just feels good. Like, there's so much more that I'm excited about. And especially when I was showing someone else, I was like, who hadn't seen it yet, I was like, yeah, this is actually like a really good show. So, you know, I mean, going into Mandalorian season 3, you know, if anyone out there hasn't seen Book of Boba yet, definitely give it a go. And, you know, 7 episodes and I'm sure, you know, I'm sure you'll probably like it, do a whole binge, and there's a lot of tie-in material there.
You really can't go wrong, even if like it's not to like full expectations, but you can't go wrong watching a show that's going to be gunslinging on Tatooine at the end of the day.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it's got a lot of Western flair too. I mean, like if we thought
I liked about it.
Yeah, Mandalorian had gone that route a little bit here and there, but Book of Boba is just like a whole nother level of you know, we got to take back the town kind of thing, you know.
That's right.
And there's a whole season about that.
Almost a little Last Samurai-esque too, right? Where he's like trains with the Tuscans.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you learn like this culture that you were at war with, essentially.
Yeah, totally. It had some really, really good story to it, and I really appreciated all the flashbacks to Attack of the Clones, which, as we know, is Phil's favorite Star Wars movie. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's take a look at the season 1 trailer. This was one of the most anticipated Star Wars shows of you know,
all time.
Yeah. So let's take a listen to this.
The fight is done. We lost. Stay hidden.
The key to hunting Jedi is patience. Jedi cannot help what they are. Their compassion leaves a trail. The Jedi Code is like an itch. He cannot help it. Where is he?
What an amazing trailer. Once again, Duel of Fates playing such a big part in that that hype. The prequels are back, it screams, you know.
That's funny. I didn't realize how many times they reused that song.
Yeah, going through these teaser trailers, I mean, like, it just goes to show how amazing that song is for hyping people up, right?
Yeah.
I got a quick audio bite here to play. Hold on a second.
Going to play Obi-Wan Kenobi again.
Ewan,
Yes?
are you going to play Obi-Wan Kenobi again?
Yes.
The crowd goes wild. That was at the reveal 2 years ago when they did the stage reveal at D23, I think it was. So, yeah, super hyped up show, and that trailer really got everyone going, I think, when they saw it.
Oh, man, yeah. It got me for sure. I was super psyched.
I was like sharing links with just about everyone I knew.
Yeah, just immediately send everyone spam.
Yeah.
Like, set off the Google bots.
Yeah. Well, that was an amazing show. Really recently came out, most recent one actually. So, I mean, we've talked about it extensively already. So, let's kick things off into Andor, which was just dropped at Celebration 22. We got the season 1 teaser trailer, and let's take a listen to this one.
They're so proud of themselves, so fat and satisfied. They're everywhere. They're watching me now.
Soon enough, these days will end. There will be no rules going forward.
People are standing up. That's what a reckoning sounds like.
right, so this was the last one, and I know we're all really excited for Andor, but yeah, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I couldn't help but think at the start, this is the only trailer of the last 3 podcasts about this, fourth including this one, that is about something that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, it's I guess once again kicking things off with the no, I'm terrible at that.
you can almost see there's almost a little bit of like a what's the word I want? They're starting to like form like a plate that they kind of base everything off of, right? You're seeing a lot of similarities. You compare them all side by side.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, like even the Star Wars Eclipse trailer, I think, if I'm not mistaken, had.
I think it does too. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it does, if I'm not mistaken. But
man, that's what we got wrong with our Jar Jar Binks trailer. Man, if we had done that,
that would have been so much better. Yeah,
it would have been official.
Hold on, let's play a little soundbite of Eclipse. I think it's here somewhere. Oh. Yeah. There it is. It's got the chanting.
The choiry,
I'll skip forward a bit. A bit again. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it just sounded so similar. And I don't know. It's got this real kind of like epic vibe about it, and Andor's going to explore the story of Cassian Andor and Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera before the events of Rogue One over the course of a 4-year period of time, around the same time as the Kenobi show. So it's going to be very cool to see all that stuff, and I think we're looking forward to that very much. Yeah, we're going to be sitting down and doing after shows every week in the end of August, going forward through September.
Man, that's so soon. I didn't realize it was that soon.
Yeah, pretty soon.
The series the trailer at least gave me like really strong 007 vibes, like a lot of espionage sort of thing going on, like secret military bases.
Yeah.
I think if that trailer is accurate, I think it's going to be really cool.
Oh, it's going to be sweet. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there was maybe a few tie-ins with the Bad Batch season 2 as well, seeing as they kind of go hand in hand around the same time. Bad Batch is a couple years before, but I mean, like as far as the events goes, like there's a lot of political shifting going on. So we maybe will see some character crossovers, a bit like Fennec Shand, showing up in a younger self in Bad Batch season 1, and then she's in Mandalorian and Book of Boba and all that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised. And I think we have plans to do some What Happened episodes for Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera and Andor, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see if we can get to those before the events of the show take place. But hype is real. I mean, like as we've seen with all the Star Wars TV trailers, which brings the TV trailers to a close. Is there anything you have last minutes to say on kind of what we've gone over between all these cinematic reveals for television?
For television specifically, I think it's still relevant, even maybe not as relevant as the films, but it's still neat to see the progression of trailers over time. And we weren't able to watch it, but to start with, like I guess even farther back, I was gonna say the Gandhi cartoons. So we went all the way back to watch like Star Wars Holiday Special all the way to here. That's a quite a road trip, let's call it.
It is. And if you
jump through the galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, we went from hyperspace, from 1978 to 2022. That's quite a jump of Star Wars on television, and certainly been
it's pretty cool,
pretty neat.
Yeah. And I guess if I were to say anything about it, I would say that I'm really satisfied that George was able to get his dream in that regards, because I think he wanted to do this for a really long time, and it just never really worked out while he was in control of the ship.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's just a lovely thought to know that he's still alive to kind of sit at home on the couch with a smile on his face as he watches episode by episode of the torch that he's passed on to these new storytellers. So I'm sure he's looking forward to Andor as well. Yeah. That being said, I guess we will catch you in the next one.
All right. Well, we'll see you out there. Keep flying.
All right, and thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Star Wars Escape Pod. We absolutely love and appreciate all of you guys tuning into the podcast and sharing the show with a friend. If you get any chance to drop a 5-star review, leave us a few words. Feedback helps the algorithms, helps people discover the show on the search, because there is a lot of Star Wars podcasts out there. And if you're listening to ours, we truly, genuinely appreciate it, because we do this as a hobby. So you can join us on the Discord. There's a link in the description, as well as our Twitter and Instagram at SWSK Podcast. There's an email where you can drop us a voice recording or leave us a voicemail at our SpeakPipe address. The email is swskpodcast@gmail.com. And as always, I'm your host, Josh. This was Star Wars Escape Pod, and may the Force be with you.